Okay, Farah, how did traveling the world and living nomadically made you the woman that you are today?
Great question. There's this pull of life, and when you really listen to it, you can hear what it's saying. And the very first thing that shaped me was like learning to listen to that, the pull or like the pulse of life. And it saying, like, yeah, you're going to go travel the world and you're going to find a way. And that is what you're meant to do right now. And I got that message, kind of from something much greater than me when I was around 20 years old. And there was no part of me that wasn't going to listen to that. It was like, there's nothing else I'm going to do. And sometimes it can be easy to resist the messages that we're getting from something greater than us because maybe we're scared or maybe we don't believe it's possible. And I'd experienced that in my life as well. And with this calling that I got, it was like, there's no, like, this is what I'm going to do. Even with all of the fear, even with all of these people, scared for me, even with me having no idea or no plan how to do it, even having an amazing job where I was living, there was no part of me that was going to do anything else. And that is part of what shaped me into the woman I am today is like, when I hear a message from something greater than me, listen to it, surrender into it, follow the flow of life. And when I did that, as scary as it was, I was so, 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 so terrified. I was terrified of my safety. I was terrified that I wouldn't meet anybody. I was terrified I was going to end up out there with like no money. I was so scared of all these things. And when I just listened to the call and I surrendered everything as I took action, then everything revealed itself to me. And the way that I felt and experienced it was like that I was a child of the world. People are so scared of what's out there, so scared of other countries and other people and things they don't know. And what I learned was when I go into the world with a loving energy, I'm met with so much love back. The way that people cared for me, it was like everyone around me, I was just this young woman, like this, young 20-something woman going out in the world all alone. And everyone I encountered was so supportive and loving of me. I was so afraid I was going to get robbed or like something really bad was going to happen. And not to say that those things don't happen, but I didn't experience them in the entire 7 years of world travel. Like, because I ask myself, why was it like that? Like, why didn't I encounter anything like so terrible along my travels? And, I experienced like somebody charging me more for something than it should have been or something like that. But there was nothing where it was like really putting me in danger. And I always come back to, I approached everyone that I met and saw and experienced with so much love. And because I did that, they wanted to care for me. They wanted to make sure I was safe. They wanted to like hold me as the child of the world that was out there exploring that I was. And it built so much trust with like with powers greater than me, with people in other countries that I didn't know. And not only that, but trust with myself that it is a lot about the energy that you bring into the world. That is what you're met with. And when you can really tap into the energy that you want to bring into the world and the frequency of love, then you're going to be met with that. And that will stay with me for the rest of my life.
Beautiful. And what happened then? Like, it's 7 years. Suddenly you decide to stop. So how did that happen? When did you felt in your body like, okay, this is time to stop. Now it's time to root oneself?
I thought I was going to live outside of the US forever. I said, I'm never coming back. I hated where I was from. I hated Colorado. I thought it was like just a terrible.
So you were originally from Colorado,
Yeah.
ended up living back in Colorado.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Born and raised in Colorado, went to college in Colorado, got my first job. And then at my first job, out of college, I told my boss, I was like, okay, I'll work for you for a year and then I'm going to travel the world. And he didn't want me to leave, but he was like, of course, I'll support this dream of yours. So yeah, like I was at that job, and like even during the job, I was like researching on the internet, like how do I do this? How do I go travel? And so then the time came up and I left Colorado, and I never lived anywhere else in my entire life than Colorado. I traveled a lot for like very short trips, but I'd never lived anywhere else. And so, yeah, I took a big risk and a big leap and packed up a backpack and moved. I went to Mexico to get trained as an English teacher. And then I went to Hong Kong to actually teach English in the classroom. And along that journey, like my roommate was teaching English online. And I was like, no, that's what I want to do. Cause I knew I wanted to go to like all these countries, but I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know how to make that plan happen. But then I learned about backpacking and I learned about like digital nomads, and I saw other teachers teaching online that were traveling around Southeast Asia. So I was like, I'm going to go for 6 months to 6 countries and travel Southeast Asia as an online English teacher.
Boom.
Yeah. And I started a YouTube channel, and I was like, I'm going to share the journey. And yeah, so I started this adventure, and those 6 months turned into 7 years. And like I said, like during all of those 7 years, I didn't think that I was gonna move back to the US at all. In fact, that, you know, over the time I like met my like an ex-partner of mine. We were together for 4 years. We were living in South America. He was from there. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have like a family, and you know, I'm gonna live in South America for my whole life. Like, that's really what I thought. And I didn't have any consideration. I didn't have any idea at all that I would move back to Colorado until one day I got the worst phone call of my entire life. And that phone call was that my brother had taken his life. And every single ounce of my being was shocked, devastated, ripped open. And it was a massive turning point, wake up call, everything that brought me to having huge revelations about how I was living up my life, what I actually wanted for my life. And over 6 months to a year, waking up to that and making so many decisions that completely changed the trajectory of where my life was headed, which I'm really happy about, even though it was like the most challenging, most tragic experience I've ever had. It brought me to this huge homecoming journey, because the reason I wanted to travel in the first place was because I wanted to run from everything that was here. I wanted to run from my family. I wanted to run from all these things that I felt like I didn't know how to face, all of these family situations. And like, I didn't think I was going to be able to date and like find a man that was going to be a good fit here in Colorado or in the States. And so I was just running from like all these things. And so when my brother passed, it was just like this ultimate wake up call of there wasn't even any part of my body that could like stay living abroad. It was like, nope, now is the time to come home and face all of these things that you've been running from, and it's going to be the greatest adventure of your life. And so I did, and it was, and I'm still on it. And it's been wild. And part of that journey was meeting you.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. It's so incredible, right? Because sometimes we think that the greatest our adventures are on the other side of the world, right? But actually, the biggest adventure is always going to be inwards.
Yep, that's a huge lesson I learned. And like going back to your other question about, you know, how did traveling like lead me to becoming the woman that I am, is like that lesson is that, you know, I can go out and explore the world and have all the wild, crazy adventures and meet all the people and taste all the foods and understand things about people outside of myself. But actually, another and one of the most powerful journeys is going inward and seeing like what is in there. And along my travels, I got this tattoo that says, you can't really see it that well.
Go to the camera.
The lighting isn't good. But this tattoo, it says freedom within. And it was actually like, it was only like 4 or 5 years into my travels that I got this tattoo. But I was starting to get the idea. I was like, oh, okay, everywhere I go, I'm still feeling these terrible feelings. Like, I remember I went on this extravagant trip to Sri Lanka, and it was like, you know, this place I like couldn't even imagine going. And I like land there and I get to my Airbnb and I'm like, I still feel these terrible feelings. Like, why do I still feel all these things? Because I thought like if I go chase the high, if I go run, if I go to these wild, crazy places, like I'm definitely gonna feel better. And I was like, nope, your internal world is still the same. And really it took, you know, losing my brother to really start to go to deeper depths that I didn't even know was possible. I didn't even know how to get there. I didn't even know how to get surrounded by the right people or resources in order to get there. If I did, I might have done it, but it wasn't even in my awareness at all. Even with all the self-development and stuff like that I thought I was doing, like I hadn't reached the true places that I was actually looking for, and until I did.
Okay, so we're gonna bookmark a couple questions about your brother, but let's go back to that moment where you come back, right? There was a powerful program that we did together, and we actually met there. It was more or less around that cusp, right? When you are coming back. So the bridge experience with Preston and Alexi Panos, what was that like for you?
So like I said, because I was living outside of the States, I didn't really have access or a network to the kind of depth of personal development that I really wanted. And also like in my own awareness, I don't think I really understood that it was even a thing or accessible or what it would be like or where I would find it. So, I actually met somebody traveling, our friend Edward, who coaches for them as well. I met him in Tulum when I was actually traveling and like considering moving home. And so he had posted about it as I was on this journey of moving home. And I was like, that place is for me. Like, that is the thing. Like, I know I need to be at this place. Like, I just saw saw the videos, heard about it, and was like, yep, that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. And like at that time, it was such a challenging time in my life. Within a year of doing the bridge, I had lost 3 loved ones. So I had lost my brother. Then 6 months later, I lost my grandpa. And then 6 months after that, on the 1-year anniversary of my brother's death, the exact day, my grandma was walking across the crosswalk and got hit by a car and killed. On the exact day, September 28th, 1 year later, that happened to my grandma. So I lost my brother to suicide, my grandpa, and then my grandma to homicide. And that was only like I lost my grandma only like 2 months before I went to bridge. So I was in this like huge death portal. And I didn't know what to do with myself. I was facing things I had never faced in my entire life. And in the midst of the death portal, I was coming home to face all the things I was so afraid of and like reopening relationships with my family, learning what it's like to live back in the States after all of my 20s of being gone. I was breaking up with my boyfriend. We had already broken up by the time I got to bridge of 4 years. It was like this massive death portal. And so I step into the room and it's like the place that I needed so badly to just like fall into and know that I was going to be like loved and caught, and that I was going to be mirrored back all of the things that were going to lead to my growth evolution path in the following years. It was like the craziest life mirror that I had ever gotten. And during the bridge experience, which is like the craziest personal development, I don't even know if you can call it that, like sober medicine journey, initiation, but also like expansion and that I've ever had. And it woke me up to all of these areas of my life that I was like, whoa, I didn't know I was doing that. Oh, that's really scary to look at. Is that really me? Like, it's just like looking at all of these mirrors of like things I was so afraid to look at and so afraid to own and like so shameful of. And so that was my experience of the bridge. And then the following like 6 months, year, 2 years following that has just been this journey of like loving and accepting all of those things that I was looking at in the mirror and just being like, yeah, that is me. That's me too. Wait, I can actually own that part of myself. That's not a scary part. This is like epic when I really tune in and like am able to use the energy and like channel it in a direction that's useful. This is actually my superpower. Wow. So I just like had all these things I was so shameful of and was like peeling back all of the layers of the onion to get to K.
So what is K? What is K, Ferah?
So K is the authentic me. K is me when I don't have masks on. K is me just telling you the truth. K is me not dimming my light for other people and actually just owning what she actually wants and what she desires. Another big part of K is like having boundaries and having standards and communicating those so that people can actually meet me in those. And none of those were really present before. And that doesn't make me wrong for anything. It's just that I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the awareness. I had no ability to do those things before. And through this beautiful evolutionary process, like now I do. And it's changed everything for me because when I can actually actually own my shadow, and I could actually say, yeah, like this is the thing that I want. And like, let's play with it together. When I can say, like, these are my desires, these are my standards, this is what I hold people to, these are my boundaries. If you know, that they must be like respected. This is how I communicate with people. When I act like that as an invitation for other people to do the same. And so it's like through me being the best version of me I can, which is absolutely not perfect at all, but always just tuning into that frequency as much as I can, then it's just through through interacting with me, you're gonna get that imprint as well. And if you like it, then you can use it, which I love. It's so fun to live that way and to give my clients and anybody who interacts with me like, oh, I can communicate with that way. Cool. Now, now they get to try it.
I want to ask you because you just said if people want to accept you, they can take it. If not, it's okay as well. And you also are a little bit more emphatic when it comes to that on your social media. So you teach women to give less fucks about anything and make more money. So what was your internal block that allowed you to just stop giving a F about anything but start actually embracing it? I've seen you with the Tesla, I've seen you with the dresses and the glamour, and I love that. So how did you evolve that in yourself?
This is like my favorite question because so I've pretty much lived my life as a chameleon and changing myself so that people would love me. And so I didn't really know what it would be like to just be myself and not change myself to whatever I thought people would love, which like you can't even control that anyways. And actually just be truthful about what was here and trust that that's the best way, or not the best. I don't know if you would say the best, but that's the most authentic way to be. That's the most authentic way that I can be. And that if I am continuously contorting myself to what I think other people want, you're not actually getting me. Like, and I'm not even getting me. I don't even know. I got so lost in like caring what other people thought of me. I didn't even know who I was. And I was like 30 years old and I didn't even know who I was because I was so busy making sure that everybody loved me. So I was so busy just like controlling like the way I dressed or the way I talked or like all these things just so other people would like me. And usually I would do that based on how I would judge other people. So if I didn't like something about other people, I would contort myself into making sure that I wasn't bad. And I mean, like, I'm still like constantly like, on the path of evolution of that. But, there was some things I was really scared to own. I mean, a lot of things I was really scared to own. Things about my sexuality, things in the shame closet, things like that, patterns that I noticed that I was like, that can't be me. Like, no way. And it was. When it came to like relating with men, I realized that I was mothering them. Like I was treating them like I was their mom and like that they were a child. And I was controlling men. And I was like trying to, like especially with men that I would date, I would like try to control everything. So like he wouldn't cheat on me. He wouldn't like do all these things I was really scared for him to do. So basically I was just castrating him, like chopping his balls off. I was taking away his power. And I did not want to believe that I was mothering men. I mean, that was really hard for my ego. I was like, no way am I acting this way. And actually, one of our bridge friends helped me see it. And it's really hard to look at. So that's one example when it comes to like men and relationships. But another example was that like in my sexuality, like I had so many sexual desires and fantasies that I was totally hiding. And I wasn't only hiding them from other people, I was hiding them from myself. Like I had always like been a little bit curious about women and I was like, like I don't know what that would be like, but I like wanted to like, there was definitely curiosity there, but it was so buried because I thought that I would be like a lesbian if you like explored that. And then the thoughts, like the societal conditioning I had around like being a lesbian, like I thought I was going to be the worst person in the world if I was a lesbian. So I never allowed myself to even explore anything that related to women at all. And nor did I allow myself to even believe that I wanted to do that. So much that one of my coaches one time was like, oh, I see this vision of you like with another woman. And I was so humiliated and embarrassed and was like, got really mad at her and was like, no, like there's, and then like later that vision like came to life. And then I came out of shame closet and I was like, wait. And then I learned that people think it's really hot when women are with other women and that this isn't something that like I should be ashamed of. And actually it can be really hot when I just own it. And then I learned that I'm not a lesbian. I love men and there's nothing wrong with lesbians. And if I was a lesbian, that's totally cool. And I got to just like explore the edges of what I wanted to explore and then be like, oh, okay, this is actually isn't so bad and shameful. Actually, it can be really hot. And that's like just one example. I mean, there's so many in sexuality, in relationships and dating with family, that it's just like, I'm hiding from this thing. I don't want to look at this thing. Okay, I'm gonna look at this thing. That's really scary. Like edging my way into like, okay, I can talk to somebody trusted about this. Okay, I can create a space where I can explore this. Okay, I'm safe exploring this. Okay, wow, I shared that with somebody and they're not judging me for it. Okay, wow, I can create a full situation to explore this thing. Okay, I can actually share this with more people. Okay, I can share this on a podcast. And it's just like this, like coming out process of like all these different parts of myself. And when it comes to giving less fucks and making more money, that was like the ultimate. I mean, it was so hard for me to launch that. It was like ripping like the skin off of a cat. It was like literally, I had the idea for like, I don't know, 6 months before I finally put it out there. And I had to have a lot of support along the way because I made the page and I was like, I would hate this woman. Like, I would think this woman is ridiculous. Like, I would think this woman who is saying, give less fucks and make more money. Like, that is so slimy. That is so mean. That is so bad. That is like such a bitch for her to say that. Like, what is she thinking? What about the, people she met in Africa? Like, isn't she supposed to be like doing a nonprofit or something? Like, what is this thing? And, I had so many judgments of my own self about it. And so that's why I had to launch it so that I could be seen in this thing of like, it's really true. I love the idea of giving less fucks and making more money. Like, this is wonderful. And, the workshop was really about giving less fucks about the things that don't matter, like what people think of you, like the perfectionism of trying to get it all right, is really an invitation to be your fully authentic self, to get messy along the way, because that's actually what stops us from having the actual impact, the creativity, the full expression that people actually want from you. And we think that they'll like this like curated version of us. And it's like, no, they want all of you. They want the real you. And so I got to experience that. And it was wild because I'd never done any workshop like that ever before. Like everything else I had done had been like very like structured and like very, everyone knew me. Everyone knew me for doing digital nomad stuff. It was just completely different. And the response on the other side of that was a whole lot more money, a whole lot more authenticity, a whole lot of me feeling more like me, a whole lot of me getting over the fears of what people thought about me, say like launching this workshop and saying this thing. And it was so well received by people. I was shocked. Like I didn't have anybody say the things that I was thinking in my head. Like everyone was just like, yes. First of all, this is so okay. Like, this is so fitting for what you do. Like, of course you're launching this. This is what feels right. But I had been avoiding it because I was in my shadow, And then people loved it. They loved it so much. It created a whole energy around it. I signed amazing clients from it, and had a really powerful transmission. And so there's more workshops coming.
More workshops. So we're going to make sure that we put that in the description as well. And following on those two things, right? You just said something that there's even like a system of how do you actually go for super shameful, super in the shadows, super I don't want to show this to anyone because I don't even know if this is me, to now I'm sharing it on a podcast. How important is community in that journey? And what has been your community?
Yes. Okay. I love that. Community is everything. I would not be able to do any of the coming out of shame without community and without incredible people who were mirrors reflecting back to me, incredible retreats that I had been attending that created the spaces and pockets to do that. This incredible community that I have in Boulder, where we have lots of events and cohesion of people who like know you and understand you and can explore all these things. So all of that was the reason why I could come out. And shame isn't something that we can necessarily heal alone, because shame requires somebody else hearing what you're shameful about in order to heal it. Like, we're shameful because we don't want someone else to know this thing about us. So we need someone else to hear the shameful thing. So you literally can't do it alone. And in the years of coming out of shame, I have constantly, Bridge was the very first community that I started to explore and come out in shame with. And then the threads of different shame things started to reveal themselves. And then I would be in another retreat and another shame thread came out. And I was like, okay, I can tell these people, it's such an invitation. If you're in the right spaces, there's an invitation to share the things that you're hiding. And so I would get those kinds of invitations and I would be really receptive to them and I would share, because we don't have to share, but if we don't share, we're going to stay in shame. So even though it's the scariest thing in the entire world to do, it's also the most liberating. And that's what I'm all about, right? Is liberation and freedom within, my tattoo. And I didn't know what that would look like until I started doing it. And that's the path.
Yeah. So if there's a woman watching this, what would you say to her about their shame?
I would say that you might not even know it, but there's a lot of things that there's potential that there's a lot of things that you might be hiding. And I only say that because that was me. And if you want to start exploring those things, get into spaces where you are so loved and accepted for exactly who you are, that the people in that room will meet you with the love and acceptance in order to heal that shame. And then you must show up and surrender and actually start to share. And I would really encourage edging through the process. It doesn't need to be ripping a Band-Aid off. Maybe the first step of your shame is you realizing it your own self. Oh, there's this thing way back in the back of my mind and I'm just starting to realize it. And then okay, that comes up and it's okay, eventually I'm going to tell someone about this. Okay, I found a close friend or a mentor or someone I can just speak this thing to. And so that's the next edge, is just one trusted person. And then the next edge might be a group of 5 trusted, really close friends, or somebody in a retreat or a community. And then once you share that, then you can come out a little bit bigger, and really edging into the coming out process is really helpful, because if you just go from it being this thing in the back of your head to sharing it on podcast, it might not feel super good for your nervous system and might be this huge shock, and then you might want to retreat back. So it's really important to build the capacity within your nervous system in order to hold and handle whatever comes with you sharing your shame, because of course eventually not every person is going to be loving. In fact, I had a hater the other week, and that was one of my first experiences. It's my worst nightmare to have haters. And so it's really, from this people pleaser perfectionist girl to owning myself and then getting hate from it is okay, no, I'm still safe to be me. And I think for me it's important to edge into that, because if I just got 500 haters all at once, yeah, maybe I can navigate that, but my nervous system might be quite in shock, versus okay, I have one hater, I have a few haters, okay, I'm coming out more, I'm just edging my way into it. So everybody operates differently, but I prefer edging.
Yeah. So doing it soft without the Band-Aid, and it's possible, right? I don't think any journey is the same as the other person. But something that I notice in you is you have a tendency also to trust a lot of the universe. You trusted the world. You trusted the world. You trusted your containers. And you've also trusted money, right? You shared also that you've invested probably thousands of dollars into personal development courses, and you've made more money than to invest it back. So what's the ROI on investing in personal development based on your experience?
Okay, I love this. This is such a good topic. So I want to share the story around money that is about investing in personal development and the entrepreneurial journey. So Yeah, like as a digital nomad, I had a stable job the whole time, was like teaching English mostly, and then virtual assisting and remote jobs and stuff. So I always had like a stable paycheck, and I was like, living off of like $2,000 a month, like a queen in Quito in Ecuador, and all around the world. But I didn't need much money. So I like built a life around not needing much money. And during my travels, I didn't really spend any money on personal development. I just spent money on like food and rent. So when I moved back to the States and started to get all of these opportunities to invest in like masterminds and really cool retreats and all this personal development, I was so excited. And at the same time that I was moving home, my business started to pick up a lot. And so I went from like making $2,000 a month one month to like $11,000 the next month to like $33,000 the next month. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I can make all this money anytime, and I'm doing what I love, and I'm having all this impact, which was totally true. And I was a little bit blindsided about the tougher parts of navigating entrepreneurship, such as like, as I change, my offer might want to change. As I change, the people who I resonated with before might not resonate with me anymore. As I change, my business actually gets to evolve. And so basically I like, my business was going really well. I was making all these investments. I spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal development. And especially as I was making more money in my business, I was just like, yes, yes, yes. And then, because I was working on myself, I started to change a lot. And I didn't go by Kayla anymore. I became Kay. And I like really became a completely different woman than I was before. And my offer didn't resonate with me. My offer, like, nothing was resonating anymore. And so I was like, what am I supposed to do? And during that time, it was like 6 months went by and I didn't launch any programs. I didn't create anything new. So I like didn't have any income coming in for like 6 months because I was evolving as like a person, and then things weren't sticking anymore. And so during those 6 months, because I thought I was like making all this money, I was spending more money than I ever spent, a lot on personal development. And I maxed out every single credit card that I had. And I got myself into $40,000 worth of credit card debt. And it was like the most initiating money experience I had ever had, because prior to that experience, I had paid off every credit card immediately, every time. Like, I was very responsible with my money and my credit cards, and I was just like, well, I'll just spend this money because I know how to make it. And then I didn't realize that I was going to evolve, and then I would like need to shift, and I didn't quite know how to shift yet. And so I got myself into this thing where it's just like, eventually I was like $40K in debt. I had no idea how I was gonna like buy my next meal, and like every single credit card was maxed out, and I was like, what am I gonna do? And I had no choice but to like focus. I had no choice but to just be like, okay, I am evolving. What am I going to do now? And how am I going to surrender and step into what's really meant for me? And I mean, so much self-doubt came over me. Like, am I supposed to be doing this business that I have? Like, I should just go back and get a job. Like, I was looking for every possible way, having so many conversations with so many people of just trying to get myself like out of this. Like, who's going to hire me? How can I get out of this? And then like God was like, nope, you are meant to keep going in this business. And when I really just like stuck myself to like the truth of just like talking to people and getting more clients, boom, got my first client, got another client, got another client, got another client, filled out a roster of 10 clients, and they were each paying me quite a significant amount. But I really just like took the wheel and was like, just like turning it, like, I got this.
You feel allowing the Tesla to self-drive is like, I'm going to grab the wheel right now and I'm going to go where I want to go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a fine balance between, there's such a fine balance between surrendering and like, just, going with like what you're being guided to do, and like taking action. And that's a lot of the stuff that I work with my clients, is like, there is like really feeling into the duality of like action and like tuning leaning in and surrender. Because if you just surrender, like, it's a good way to say it is if there's a river without banks, it's just water everywhere. And if there's banks without a river, it's just dirt. So we need both. And in that moment, I needed a lot of banks. And I did it. And then I paid off all of that debt, and I built so much trust with myself that, like, no matter where my financial situation is, I have so much trust with myself in my business and what I can create. But it took me going all the way down there, all the way to the $40,000 worth of debt, not a single penny left on a credit card, not even knowing how I'm going to get my next meal, to have that initiation of, like, you got to focus, you got to get the structure. And then when I did, it was super magical and amazing, and just like revealed that that's exactly what I was meant to do when I really took the action. And like, yeah, a lot of that 40K in debt was personal development, and the whole experience of getting into 40K alone was personal development. And getting myself out was personal development, and the whole rewiring of money. And it's like, yes, personal development is going to the retreats and like getting in the right communities and being in masterminds and all that. But personal development is like you being engaged in your life and learning the lessons that are coming to you. It means nothing if you go to a retreat and you learn something there and then you don't come back and bring the lesson that you just learned, right? And so, like, yes, like the whole money thread has been like the ultimate personal development that like no retreat itself is ever going to give me. The retreat might give me like the understanding of like how to navigate it, or like the awareness of like what's going on, but then it's up to me to like take that into my own life. And like during the time of that debt initiation, I used stuff from the bridge experience in order to rewire myself. There's one activity that I'll share that's we do in the bridge, where we go out into the world and we ask someone to essentially we ask someone to buy us something, and it's a rewiring of scarcity. And so during the time of the debt, I was going out and asking people for food because I literally couldn't pay for my food, and receiving like, oh, people really want to support you. And then I eventually started going out and asking people to buy me something to rewire right before sales calls, so that right before a sales call I had already primed myself to receive. And that's what I told the person when, like, I like, can you buy me a cup of coffee? Because later today I'm going to get a really important yes, and I'm trying to get a small yes before I can get a big yes. Would you be open to buying me this cup of coffee? And they buy me the cup of coffee, and then I get on the sales call and I make the sale.
Let's go back again to that specific tip. Like, for anyone that's into sales or maybe into selling their program, run it again. Like, you basically tell someone, like, you practice in the real life, ask someone for something for a sale, right? You prime yourself, and then with that energy you enter that sales call. That is genius.
Try it. Let me know how it goes.
I'm gonna try it. On the next sales calls, I'm gonna try it.
Do it.
Next sales call, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
And like, really, I should do it too. And the thing is that like these are never ending tools that like I receive from Bridge and from other kinds of like retreats and workshops that I go to. They're like never ending tools that continue to come back and be extremely useful. And like it just clicks in like in the life moment. It's like, oh yeah, this tool. You know, if you're really like engaged with the tools, like you'll know when it's time to like use one of them. And that's what happened in that moment. I was like, I'm gonna rewire myself right now, because I was like at the depths, Astra. Like I was so at the depths. Like I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of this. It was just so challenging. And so I really had to use the tools that I learned. So
there we go. That is crazy. That's epic. Any other tool that you've used, maybe from Bridge Experience or from any other program that it's from the workshop, but then in real life? Like, yeah, practical example. Maybe around dating.
Yes. Like my two favorite retreats. The first one is the Bridge Experience, and then my other favorites are these Polarity Immersions. And we can put the links to both of them. Both of these happen every few months if you're thinking about doing them. But the Polarity Immersions have been like the thread of my like relationship and like sexuality evolution. And the greatest, like, how do I say this? It's not so much an exact tool that I got from the immersion itself, but through the coaching of the person who did the immersion, and some awarenesses that I was able to build around how I was interacting with men. I mentioned that I had been controlling men, I had been mothering men, I had been manipulating men, which I had learned throughout some of the retreats. So eventually I got so fed up with my patterns and I was like, I have to change something. And I was seeing it through the Polarity retreats. I was seeing it through Bridge. I was seeing it in my life. And I was so fed up because I am 31 years old. I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want to be a healthy mom. I want to be able to show up as healthy as I can. And I knew that with the patterns that were showing up, there was no chance of even being able to stay with one partner. So I was like, something has to change. So through the coaching of the person, Alan, who runs the Polarity retreats, he helped me get onto this Nomad diet. And this was a diet where I could not have sex with men, no kissing, no flirting, no dating, nothing. A whole period of time where I could only be friends with men and couldn't manipulate them, couldn't control them, couldn't do any of the things I usually do. And so I did that for 9 months and it completely revolutionized how I related to men. And I didn't really know how to be friends with men before the No Man diet. I was always trying to get something, I was always like, well, why am I friends with you? I'm friends with you because you're going to pay for something for me, or you're going to give me this, or I didn't even understand what would a brotherly relation, how would I just be friends with a man without there being some energy there, or I didn't get it. And through the No Man diet, I just completely was able to have awareness, repattern, change all of those things. And now I have so many amazing guy friends. I have the best guy roommates ever. And I have a new boyfriend a new partner that I've been able to call in with all of the new rewiring. And there's so much trust, communication, safety in our new relationship because I am acting completely differently than I would have ever acted before, which I wouldn't know if I didn't go to those retreats, follow the threads, and do the No Man diet and just do the hard things. It's I didn't want to do a No Man diet. I love men. I love all the things that come with, men and all the things that I was experiencing and explorations. But it was so worth it to me to say, okay, for this upcoming year, I'm going to make this commitment because I know what it means for the rest of my life and my kids' life and my family and my community. And it was super powerful.
I love that you said, I didn't know how to, in a way, be a sister to men. What are some behaviors that you've learned that would nurture a man without you needing to be her partner, his partner?
This is a lot of what I started to learn in the Polarity retreats was that. First of all, my understanding is that men want to be the hero and men love to be the hero and take action and serve, and they just need to know what you want. They just need to know they just need to be communicated really clearly with. And when you do that really well and they can fulfill it, it's the best thing ever for them. And I didn't really know that before and I didn't know how to do it. And I was doing the opposite. I was I've got this. You don't know how to do this. I can do this. And it was really intimidating and not friendly for men because they can't be the hero and then they feel bad. And I didn't really want to be doing all that stuff anyways. I'd much prefer to receive. But I had it totally backwards. So now, how I would relate in partnership actually is a lot of how I would relate with any man because it's knowing these simple principles. That's just men love to be they love to be, feel like Superman. They love to be affirmed and when they do something really amazing, they love to hear that from you and to get feedback and to know that. And they love my understanding is men, it's very natural for men to give and it's actually really natural for women to receive. And not that it always needs to be that way, but it creates a really beautiful polarity where the man is feeling like Superman and the woman is so relaxed and wow, this is the best thing ever. And we could really create that polar dynamic. And so I just served at the Bridge and coached this last round a few weeks ago, and there's men coaches, women women coaches, and like all, like I just like was receiving so much from the men there all weekend in like a very platonic way. But just like one of the men like figured out our whole lunches for us for the entire weekend, and like he wanted to do that, and he like bought us all the sandwich stuff like just for him and I. And it was very platonic and very much so just like him like wanting to like be the, you know, the hunter and gather, like go get the stuff, and like me to just be like so receiving that so well and so happy about that. And that made him feel really good. And so it's like using these principles of like understanding men and women and relating to everyone in that kind of way, partner or no partner. And I would say for me, the difference between partner and no partner is like the like sexual energy, and like understanding how you relate to, like how one relates to their sexual energy, and if it's like open or closed or contained or uncontained. Because with my partner, I am like very open in my sexual energy. And what I've learned is that if I'm open in my sexual energy with men who I'm not necessarily planning on like taking things any further, then that can be really confusing and just lead to like unclarity and like dynamics that just like are unfavorable. So what I really started to learn is like how to contain my sexual energy and not just like spill it everywhere, but to harness it and to direct it into creativity and projects and places that it can really be fuel. And then the dynamics with like men who I'm in like platonic relating with, they're not confused. They're not like, wait, why do I like feel your sexual energy? And then it like becomes like this weird thing. And then maybe like the whole way we're interacting gets completely muddled because there's like a confusing energy in the field about it. And I tend to notice like when I am cleaning up my side of the street, typically like it's not really even that big of a problem I really don't experience it from the men either. So it's like being the leader in that too. Yeah.
Okay, leadership. I love that part. And yeah, like the more I've experienced that in my own relationship as well, is the more clear I am around where should I direct my sexual energy specifically as well, the more I can relate with other people from the other gender or from the other sex, right? In a more transparent and playful way, right? First of all, congratulations about your new relationship. There's something around your nervous system, and you're really in touch with your nervous system. How did you determine that this new person was compatible to you after you were in this Nomad diet?
Yeah. Well, so the journey from like Nomad diet to like ending up in relationship was its own journey in itself. I went from like Nomad diet to New Man diet, which on the New Man diet, I started to open myself up to dating and open myself up to being courted. And I like to use the word being courted because like that really speaks to the dynamic that feels like that attracted the right kind of man for the dynamic that I wanted. And for the right kind of man, like courting feels amazing because he is just feeling like so empowered to show up and like to like fluff his feathers and like to really like tap into his creativity and his magic, and like for a woman to receive and experience that, and for him to really get feedback and appreciation for that. So I had a rule during my New Man diet that if I went on dates, a man would have to take me on 3 dates before we could kiss. So this was really important because, you know, it created this dynamic where like we're gonna go on a date and there's like no possibility of really like sexual energy, you know, like there's just like we're gonna get to know each other for like at least 3 dates before we even consider opening up the sexual energy channel at all. And so it really kept things clean and really helped me be like, okay, I'm getting to know this person. Is this person actually someone who I would want to go further with or not? Because like previously I would just sleep with someone on the first night. Like I would have zero consideration of like if I wanted to like exchange energies with someone or not. I was just like, yeah, let's explore. I'm open. And that's totally was its own energy and like served me in some ways. But yeah, this was very much so like curated and like, okay, do I actually want to take this further? And it also allowed the man to really show up without like expecting anything sexual for a while. And like, if he really wanted to show up, then he was really going to show up. And if he didn't, then he just wouldn't, you know? So I went on many, many wonderful, incredible dates that I couldn't imagine beyond my wildest dreams. I got like taken to a jazz bar. I got we did like tea houses and river dates and top of the mountain picnics, blindfolded picnics, and like all these like just wild, crazy like things that were just such delightful surprises all the time, and like men picking me up from the house and buying me flowers, and like it was such a beautiful era of receiving and just like, yeah, of course men will do this. Like that's how men who care are, and like the kind of maturity level that I was like calling in. And so the guy who's now my partner, he took me on 3 dates, and then after the 3rd date he was like, okay, can we kiss? And I was like, not yet. And even the very first day I met him, he had asked if he could kiss me. It was like at a party. And I was like, not yet, and you'll thank me later. And it took 4 months for us to have our first kiss after that day. And it like, if old me would have totally kissed him that night, you know, but new me had very clear, like, this is how I'm operating no matter what. So like it was a non-negotiable with myself. I was just not going to break it. Like it was just so important to me. And he continued to show up and show up again and show up again and be so creative and be so loving and pursue me so hard. And I was actually really resistant towards it. But when I finally started to like melt and like really feel his magic, things started to shift. And so another important thing I'll say is that when I started to open up to dating, I wrote a list of all of the qualities that I was calling in a partner. I wanted him to be like a provider, a community man, have like a really great, beautiful heart. I wanted him to be really amazing at like open communication. I wanted him to be the ultimate keeper of time and space. I wanted him to be involved in his own personal development journey and in men's groups and such. So I had this whole document. I just had him read it like the other day and he loves it. And it describes him. Yes. And I knew what I was calling in. I was very clear on what I wanted. And I also knew that if I wanted that, I got to become the woman who was a match to that. And so every day was working on myself and being committed to myself to be a woman who was actually matched to what I was calling in. And so the mixture between those two things is what created calling him in. And he's, I know he's a great match because first of all, he matches all of that on the list. And the thing I would say the most above all things why I am with him is because trust is like so deep with us. Like there's not a single thing that I couldn't bring to him that we couldn't talk about. And during our early stages, we have had so many conversations about like every little thing that we might like not be sharing with each other, just so that we could keep that glass clean between us. And so like I don't feel like there's anything that I can't share with him and anything that he wouldn't share with me, which is like so key to building trust and foundation and partnership. And then like that's the trust piece, and the number 2 piece is like the communication and like keeping that clean always, and just like, okay, something's coming up, bring it, and like continuing that is like, I've never had a relationship like that before because I didn't have the tools, but because of all the work I've been doing, now I have them and it's revolutionary.
Sometimes I'm talking with my girlfriend and she sometimes says like, oh my God, like, how did it come so fast that we're in a relationship like this? And probably soon you'll be like that. Like, how is it that we're now have such an amazing relationship? But it's the result of all that filtering process that you just mentioned. It's the result about being intentional and talking about the things in the front end, and just taking more time to be with that instead of just allowing the sexual energy and the hormones to just come in and come out. Because love is a long game. Love is not, you don't win at love, you stay in love, you grow in love. And just being able to understand that and being able to, okay, like, I'm going to be here, I'm going to open my heart, I'm going to let you break my heart over and over and over again, but but we've already covered all the logistics before. We are now here ready to break our hearts open again and again so that there's no space. And I think safety, and I think just everything when it comes to the polarity work has maybe taught you to where it is right now.
Totally. Yeah, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Yeah. It's a very, very different way of like relating. And I'm shocked. I didn't know what I didn't know, you know? You don't know what you don't know until you are like, oh, when you said communication, that's what you meant. I couldn't even do that a few years ago because I was hiding from my own self. I wouldn't even know, or maybe I would. I would just be so scared. I remember in my past relationship, I was so scared to say certain things, like terrified, and it ate me alive, you know. And then the relationship ended. So, you know, there's that versus sharing, being intimate, actual intimacy.
Powerful. Let's now shift into that deep work that you're doing with women. What are the transformations you've seen in other women through the work that you've done and you are facilitating them to go through?
Wow, some crazy, incredible transformations happen in my coaching spaces. And it's because, you know, first of all, when you decide to be coached by somebody, you're really saying yes to like your life. You're saying yes to showing up. You're saying yes to your dream. You're saying yes to like all the patterns you're not available for yourself anymore, right? And so I primarily help women create a freedom-based lifestyle through creating the life and business of their dreams. And a big part of that is also the freedom from within, which is always a thread of the work that we're doing as they are creating these beautiful businesses in their path and their dharma. So, yes, I've had like women, like so many of the women like blow up their businesses and like do things that they couldn't have imagined in their wildest dreams. And, you know, there's always this flavor of like, okay, I'm going to try. I've never done this thing before. Can I even do this thing at all? And then like taking a step and being like, wow, I did this thing, and taking another step and like them like continuously like blow their minds with like what they're capable of. And then, you know, going full time in their business or like creating something that they never would have like believed that they could create. And along that journey is the thread of their whole life. And I believe that entrepreneurship is the greatest initiation into our personal development, into our life's path, right? Like, it's like, okay, you say yes to entrepreneurship, and then it's like, yeah, you can set up systems and you can like do the whole thing, but there's no escaping yourself. It's kind of like travel. Like whatever is there, it's still going to be there until you adjust it. So yeah, like as these ladies are, you know, creating these beautiful like freedom-based businesses in their dharma and their path, they are being initiated and different things are coming in to the field. And, you know, one of the things I would say that they are experiencing the most is like immense self-trust and self-belief. When these women who come to me, they have a dream and it's just a dream, it's not tangible yet. There's like a whole threshold of crossing between like an idea and then like it coming to fruition, and like especially like making money doing that thing. And like realizing that you are like the women realizing they are so empowered, they are so capable. And also them noticing that like, yes, it's that balance of like taking action and surrender, and us really working on that together. Because I would say one of the things I see the most in like entrepreneurship, especially kind of like with feminine entrepreneurs, there's a lot of like, just surrender to the path, just be in your pleasure, and like, yeah, and take action. Like you will not create anything if you don't actually take action. And sometimes I think there's this impression that like it's just all going to come and like you don't really like need to take the action to do it. And for me, action taking has been extremely important, and a huge part of what I do with my ladies is like give them the structure so that they can actually know how to take that action that leads to feeling the fruits of their labor, right? Like feeling like the thing come to fruition that they're building. So immense immense belief in themselves, immense trust with themselves, and then of course like the unfolding of their freedom from within. A lot of the work that we do, like with every woman I work with, we keep the glass clean. So I teach them about keeping the glass clean and how to have open communicative conversations. And they're invited that they must communicate with me in our coaching. Like they must come to me whenever there's a little thing in the back of their head in relationship to her and I, that she is invited to always keep the glass clean between her and I so she can start to practice that in relationship with somebody so that then she can start to bring that out into other people. And one of my clients who recently just like went full-time in her business, like went from working at a restaurant to now making consistent 10K months in the business of her dreams, able to take it anywhere in the world. We haven't even finished up our year yet. Our first year yet. And she also just recently fell in love and like has a new budding partnership, and all of the things that she's learning in our container, she's like able to bring. And like, not only is it like teachings, but it's also just like an energy that she's bringing in her life that's like inspiring and calling in the right kinds of people. So
And as you said, right, there is the surrendering aspect, but it's also the action taking. And as you said, it doesn't have to be a band-aid of tomorrow you build the funnel, you launch the VSL and you do the ads, but you do have to do the VSL, the funnel and the ads eventually.
yes. Yes, you do. Like, it's part of an online business, you know? And it's a wonderful part of the online business. It's so great when you actually have the right systems and flow, then things are so much easier. So the structure like actually supports the creativity, supports the flow. And that's what we build.
Epic. How can people work with you? Where can people find you?
Yes. My program is the Wealthy Turned On Woman 12-month mentorship with Ferah. And it is absolutely incredible. And it is for women entrepreneurs who are building the freedom-based life of their dreams. It is for women who know that they have a calling that is much greater than maybe what they're doing right now, or they know they're already building it and they want support and really bringing that to life. So I work with a lot of ladies who are maybe in a 9-to-5 right now and it's not fully aligned, and they want to really do something that's in their path, that's supportive of the lifestyle they want to live. So whether that's moving, I had a client recently move to Portugal, and like that was her big dream, and we had this whole beautiful transformation of her like living in the US for her whole life and complete like moving to Portugal, finding work out there finding work online that is completely aligned like with her dharmic path, and like creating this whole transformation around her entire lifestyle. And so that's what women are coming here for. And it is about creating like the freedom-based lifestyle. And simultaneously, we work on all of those parts of creating freedom from within. You get one-on-one mentorship with me. We have an amazing group of women who we gather multiple times a week, and you really are creating a cohort of like women who are going through this experience with you, and you get like a biz bestie and so much support around building your dream. And like what's happening inside is like just blows my mind. We have there's like this women's entrepreneur event in Denver this upcoming weekend, and like 6 of the ladies in my in the Wealthy Turned On Women are going to be there live, and we're all gonna go together and get to really experience each other in person and go really like experience like what is it like to be immersed in like an entrepreneurial weekend together, and really step into owning the thing that you're offering in the world. So much magic. And if you want to work with me, you can find me on Instagram. You can send me a message. We just talk about if it's a good fit. And if you just want to experience the flavor of K more, then I am hosting an amazing workshop this month, which depending on when you're listening to this, there might be a different one coming. But in November, I'm hosting a workshop all about taking baths and making sales. And it's like everything that we've been talking about, right? It's like, how can you be so relaxed in your feminine and at the same time do the thing that actually generates income, generates impact, generates everything that you desire in your business all at once with the right strategy and the right energy.
Beautiful. Amazing. Okay. And people can find you at Ferah at Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were to say one more message to the woman listening here, one thing that they can take away with, drop it into that heart after that experience, nomading, after traveling the world, after finding yourself again, what's that one message they can take with?
You are the limited time offer. Like, you, Astro, you are the limited time offer. For all the people who experience you in your life, I'm the limited time offer for what I bring into this world. We are all, just like my brother, one day we're all going to have the day that we depart from, that our body departs from this earth. And every moment that people get to experience us here on earth is so magical. And it's a reminder to treat yourself like the limited time offer that you are. And to a reminder that you are so here for the magic that other people get to experience from you as well. And so not to shy away from putting yourself out there, not to dim your light, not to hide in your shadows, but rather be your full authentic self. Bring all of you to the table. Live in love rather than fear. Make the leap that you've always wanted to make, because we're here for a short time, not a long time, baby. And we never know when that day is coming. And really, this world is a playground for us to experience when we really can have the true view that we are a gift that the world gets to experience every day that we're here. So the message is to shine your light, is to share your magic, is to just really be here with us, because you're so valuable and so loved and needed and wanted in this world.
Awesome. Thank you, Kay, for your time. Thank you for your energy, and hope to see more from you soon.
Yes, thank you.